correct answer to this question is a NAS server does not have NFS enabled. For a PowerFlex administrator to enable the PowerFlex file services, they must first create the NAS servers. The NAS server is the bridge between the data storage pool and the client application. It is the initial creation of the NAS server that dictates the type of file system and data share or export protocols to use. The two protocols are SMB and NFS. Before administrators can provision file storage in PowerFlex, the NAS servers must be running on the system. Administrators can modify or configure the settings for the newly created NAS servers in the NAS Server View Details page in PowerFlex Manager. Once the NAS server is created, the administrator enables the file system and the sharing protocol. The file system establishes the directory structure and amount of dedicated storage capacity. The sharing protocol establishes the connection between the file system and the client application. If NFS export is not available, it's because it was not established as a sharing protocol for that particular NAS server. The question is designed to test your knowledge on creating, configuring, and protecting NAS file systems. A customer wants to generate a troubleshooting bundle of the PowerFlex system activity. Which 3 logs does the report generate? In this case, you need to select 3 out of the following options: Cloud Link Center, VMware ESXi, Dell PowerSwitch, Cloud IQ, or Secure Connect Gateway. This question aligns with the administration task related to the PowerFlex system and is designed to test your knowledge on troubleshooting a cluster. The correct answer to this question is Cloud Link Center, VMware ESXi, and Dell PowerSwitch logs are generated as a system activity bundle. Cloud Link Center is the activity log of the data protection applied to the cluster nodes. VMware ESXi is a log that looks at PowerFlex Management Platform, or PFMP, activity. The Dell PowerSwitch log records the Dell OS X switch activity. Of the selections in this question, those 3 logs would directly relate to how PowerFlex system functions. An organization is decommissioning an application and must clean up the associated objects in PowerFlex. What is the first step to perform in PowerFlex Manager? Should you unmap the volumes, delete the volumes, update the host, or remove the host? While all the steps listed will eventually be performed in the process of decommissioning an application, the first step is to unmap the volume from the host. If you tried to delete a volume before unmapping it, you would find that the delete option is not available until the volume is no longer mapped to any host. Updating the host first would function, but it would not do anything useful in decommissioning the application until after the volume is removed. Finally, hosts can be removed, but if there's still volumes mapped to it, PowerFlex will not allow it. As can be seen here, the option to delete a volume is unavailable if the volume is still mapped, as the tooltip explains. Which are 2 prerequisites for adding volumes using PowerFlex Manager? Minimum of 3 SDS nodes, minimum device-free capacity of 240 gigabytes, minimum of 2 SDS nodes, minimum of 3-node NVM cluster, minimum device-free capacity of 200 gigabytes. When creating new volumes, there must be sufficient capacity to create them. That capacity is derived from storage data servers, or SDSs, and the minimum number of SDSs to create a cluster is 3. While only 2 SDCs are required to make a cluster, SDCs consume storage, not provide it, so that answer is incorrect. Metadata managers are required for a PowerFlex cluster, but while 3 and 5-node clusters are advised for availability, single-node clusters can be used, so a minimum on a 1-node cluster would satisfy the requirements. Finally, to create a volume, there must be at least 240 gigabytes of available capacity. If there was only 200, a new volume could not be created. Creating, modifying, and deleting volumes is covered in more detail in the PowerFlex administration course. What is the purpose of having multiple copies of data on different SDSs within a storage pool in a PowerFlex system? Is it to ensure data availability after failures, improve storage device utilization, distribute data across multiple storage pools, or enhance performance for PowerFlex volumes? The answer is to ensure data availability after failures. The chief purpose for having multiple copies of data on different SDSs is for data availability. Before an IOS is host acknowledged, it must be written to multiple locations using a distributed mesh mirrored layout. This is so that, should failure occur, there are still copies of data available. Features such as compression and deduplication help with storage efficiency, but creating 2 additional copies of each written I/O does not improve storage utilization. Storage pools are by nature spread across multiple SDSs since volumes are created from a storage pool. Finally, while having multiple copies of data to read from may improve read performance, the additional penalty of having to write multiple copies does not improve performance. Which solution configuration allows independent scaling along with integrated networking? PowerFlex Rack 2-layer model, PowerFlex Appliance 2-layer model, PowerFlex Rack HCI model, or PowerFlex Appliance HCI model? First, while both PowerFlex Rack and Appliance both offer integrated networking options, only PowerFlex Rack is skewed to always come with integrated networking. This being the case, the answers with Appliance listed can be eliminated. Between the remaining rack options, a 2-layer model, having separation between the storage nodes and the compute nodes, allows the nodes to be added to either the storage to increase available capacity or the compute to provide additional processing ability sides of the configuration. In a hyper-converged configuration, both the storage and compute capacity from each node is used. Thus, adding an additional node for storage capacity would also increase computing performance, so not independent scaling. Deployment options are covered in more detail in the PowerFlex 4 Appliance and Rack Design course. There are many resources available that you can take advantage of. Check out the resource list on the interface, which are also available on the Dell Learning homepage. Best of luck as you prepare for this certification, and may you emerge with a deepened expertise on PowerFlex technology. Now, I'll hand it over to Anita, who will explain how to book your exam.
In this section, we will provide you with step-by-step instructions to help you prepare to take your exam with Pearson VUE. We will cover how to book your exam, what to expect on the day of your test, how to claim your badge, and future options in your certification journey. To book your exam, the first step is to visit home.pearsonvue.com/Dell. If this is the first time you are taking an exam, you will need to create an account. After you have created an account or entered your login details, you can see a selection of exams you can take. Click an individual group to view the available exams. There are 2 ways that you can take your exam. The first is in person at a local test center, and the second option is online proctoring from your home office. If you select online proctoring, then you will need to complete a system test to sit for the exam. More about that later. Regardless of how you take the exam, there is a list of suitable accommodations should you need them. Visit the Pearson VUE website and arrange for your accommodation prior to scheduling your exam. When you arrive at the test center, you will need to have 2 forms of identification with you: a government-issued photo ID and personal identification. Note that you will not be able to take any electronic items into the test center. It's best to leave all electronic items locked in your vehicle or at home. You will not be able to take any materials with you such as pens or a notebook. For online proctoring, you will also need to make sure you have 2 forms of identification and must not have any electronic devices or writing materials during the exam. To help you prepare for online proctoring, ensure you have a quiet place to test with no one walking in or walking behind you. Choose a quiet location where there are no loud noises or interruptions. It's important you have read and understood all of the rules for online proctoring prior to scheduling your exam. These rules can be found on the Pearson VUE website. The Pearson VUE